Hi, it's Jane, and mostly I have just been working on those hats, getting those hats done, which I will show you. But first off, you know the lacy full Tarnation stitch that I was using, and I only had two skeins, well, two hanks that were rolled up into balls or cakes. Of that blush, that ambient blush. Well, I did find two on Etsy that I was able to purchase. So I think that will work fine for the shawl, all in all, for me to be able to finish it with that. So yeah, I did get that. All right, let's get into the hats. There's going to be a lot of crinkling. Sorry, folks. Simply because we've got to put them in the bags for the kids. First off is this hat. And you can see that this was kind of, I used a method I'm going to call interpretive dance, interpretive hat making. So there's that hat. Like I said, so there's that. Let me sort of get these back into the bag, sort of. The next one was a fairly simple one. Thank goodness. And here is the artist rendition. And then there's the hat there. They wanted red and purple, and that's what they got, red and purple. Find those interesting? I do. I find some of the color choices very interesting. Just because, you know, you never know with kids what they're going to come up with. And they did come up with quite a variety of colors. Then we have this next one. And there is that hat. That nice cocoa brown and the orange in it. And this is going to take a little while, guys, so settle in. Then the next hat was a little bit interesting because I wasn't sure what they wanted on the pom-pom, but I think you'll see what I did with the pom-pom itself. There is that hat, and you can see there's a little bit of purple in there. So I just put a little bit of purple in that pom-pom. I mean, you know, what else are you going to do, right? And then the next hat we have, again, a little bit of interpretive dance included in that because there's yellow and purple on the top. So I mixed a little purple and yellow in the top. So, yeah. I'm telling you, some of these are interesting. And some of them I thought, really? Really? Those colors together? But it didn't turn out too bad. And then our next hat is this one. And then here's the hat that we did with the bottom, just like they wanted. 3 colors in the brim. So yeah, there's that hat. These were a lot of fun to do. I'm just curious how that's going to work out, you know, come next year. Because I'm sure some of the other teachers will want to add, and like I said, there's not a whole lot of people available to make hats, so. And there is this hat. And that's what we came up with. Turquoise pom-pom. I say we, you know, because I'm here with the cats, so the cats talk with me and we talk and discuss color combinations. Let me get my bag over here so I can get it open. And I have the other hats clear over there, so I've got quite a few hats. I think I've got 16, 17 total here that I'm showing you, and another 7 or 8 that are in the bag over there. And this was this artist rendition, and that's what we came up with. Can you hear the cats running through in and out of the house? Well, they're not outside the house. I don't have them outside. They're inside cats, but they're running all over the place. Making me a little nutso. Then our next hat. And there it is. And I did tell you I had quite a few hats. I think I had a total of 26 hats to be done. So there's this one. And that's what came out of it. I was surprised that the brown looked as well as it did with it. I was a little, you know, like, I don't know. But sometimes these kiddos come up with some great color combos. Now this next one was a true, let me see if I can figure out exactly what they want because I wasn't real sure. This is one of those that they wanted to go up and down. That wasn't going to happen. So I figured out a way to make that hat work. They had just stripes of color here. So I did what I could so it looks like they're coloring. Of course, the cats were thrilled. Had lots to play with. This next hat, oh, I love this color combination. I'm kind of dubbing it the Superman hat, you know, because it's got that delft blue color in it. Superman. That red and that blue. It's what it reminds me of, Superman. And I have 3 more hats, guys. And this color combination again, I was like, I don't know about that, but it's what the kiddo wants, and that's what the kiddo is going to get. You can see that's brown. That's what we came up with. Brown, purple, green, and blue. And surprisingly, doesn't look that bad. And then this one is rather interesting. One, the orange pom-pom, the green, the purple. There you have it, green, purple, and pom-pom. And I noticed that this one was a darker purple, so I changed out that purple for a little bit of a darker color. This last hat, let me show you the picture, because I wasn't real sure how I was going to get it accomplished. And most of it had to do with the pom-pom. Now, I could not do this up and down here at the bottom, you know. There's just no way in crochet, so instead, I changed it to each one had a row. But there's the pom-pom. in that little bit of a row. I did attempt to do a couple of rows around this way, this color, a couple around that way, but that is it for these hats. They proved to be a little challenging, some of them. Like I said, this one, I wasn't real sure how I was going to make that work. I did the best that I could, and yeah, so we came up with that. Okay. Hang on a second. Sorry, had to take care of something. All right, that is it for the hats. That's basically what I donated. What I worked on all week. I did do 2 rows of that lacy Tarnation stitch on that shawl that I was working, and that's all that I did. So there's that. I was pretty sick last week and still kind of tender and sore and kind of, you know, moving things along in a slow manner. So that's where that went. Okay, are you ready for a little what in Tarnation? Here we go. Animal lover rushes sick baby hedgehog to vet, only to find out she's been caring for a hat pom-pom. Is that not very appropriate for this week? All those pom-poms I've made. A tender-hearted animal lover spent an entire night tending to what she thought was a sick baby hedgehog, only to find out it was nothing more than a faux fur pom-pom. The elderly woman had rushed into action when she spotted what she believed was an abandoned critter on the side of the road in England. After a night without witnessing the puffball move or eat, the Good Samaritan rushed it to Lower Moss Wood Nature Reserve and Wildlife Hospital in Cheshire. It was the first admission of the day. The lady came in with the box. She said she had found this baby hedgehog on the pavement and it was cold. She picked it up. Wildlife Hospital manager Janet Kotz recalled about the bewildering incident. I was alarmed as it's very early for baby hedgehogs, so I was a bit concerned. I took the box from her and took it through to triage, which is a separate room. I opened the box and, well, I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. I thought, it's definitely not a hedgehog. Perhaps some other kind of fluffy creature. As soon as she picked up the fuzzball, Coates realized that precisely what it was. I realized it wasn't animated at all. I picked it up and obviously with the weight I could feel that it wasn't a hedgehog or any animal at all. I put it back in the box and came out and said to the lady, it's actually a bauble off a bauble hat. The animal lover was very embarrassed, according to Gotts, asking whether the manager was joking before shuffling out of the hospital with her box and bauble. She was very sweet, bless her heart. Bless her. Her heart was in the right place, she said. According to the hospital manager, the animal lover had made the mistake by simply not looking close enough at the hat embellishment. She had swept what she thought was a baby animal into a cardboard box, which she lined with newspaper and stocked with cat food. She tried to keep her distance during her regular checks on the animal throughout the night to allow it to recover, never allowing herself close enough to realize that it didn't have any ears, legs, or other animalistic features. The weight of the bauble didn't seem to tip her off, though it was Kotz's first indication that she wasn't dealing with a hedgehog. I would have immediately known from the weight a bauble weighs nothing, but, bless her heart, was in the right place. I don't think she'll make the same mistake again. I think she'll check it out next time. The Lower Moss Wood Nature Reserve and Wildlife Animals shared the hilarious tale on Facebook over the weekend, saying the woman's overly good nature melted the hearts of its staff. Coates reminded other animal lovers to follow in the woman's footsteps and rescue a real hedgehog if spotted wandering around during the daytime, which is a sign that the animal is in distress. It's a golden rule that hedgehogs shouldn't be out in the daytime, especially little ones like that, but she did absolutely the right thing, aside from the fact that it wasn't a hedgehog. There you have it. Cattle crash releases cattle on Virginia Highway. A portion of Virginia Highway was shut down Monday when a 3-vehicle crash resulted in cattle escaping into the roadway. Virginia State Police said the tractor-trailer hauling the cattle was involved in a 3-vehicle crash about 11:40 a.m. on near the 232-mile marker in Augusta County. The crash allowed several cows to escape onto the roadway, causing traffic to back up more than 9 miles. Augusta Animal Control personnel were summoned to the scene to round up the cows and assess their condition. Now, this next story is actually several stories within one. But as you know, April the 1st is a great day for pranks. So here are a few of the pranks that happened. Monday is April Fool's Day, and as expected, companies and websites are marking the annual celebration of clownery with hoax name changes, fake products, and other so-called jokes. This year's most notable examples of corporate-approved comedy include a name change for Dunkin', some appetizing new beverage flavors, and a supposed translation app for stoners. Here are the top 10 mass market monkey shines of April Fool's Day 2024. Dunkin' changes its name to Donuts. Dunkin', the chain formerly known as Dunkin' Donuts, announced on social media that it will now be known as just Donuts. We will have coffee still. Please don't ask any other questions. Just going through it. Okay, right now, the Instagram post said, sour cream and onion soda. Health-conscious soda brand Olipop and Pringles announced Monday they are teaming up to bring sour cream and onion Pringles flavored soda into stores. Social media post with stretches that it is an April Fool's joke reads, indulge in the creamy richness of sour cream, the savory kick of onion, and the comforting heartiness of potato, all in a crave-worthy, salty, and utterly irresistible soda experience. Don't think so. Hot dog sparkling water. Meanwhile, 7-Eleven and Miracle Seltzer took their joke a step further by actually creating a limited number of cans filled with 7-Eleven House of Miracles Big Bite Hot Dog Sparkling Water. Miracle Seltzer announced on social media the glizzy favorite fizzy was never intended to be sold in stores. We did actually make a limited supply for fun and indicated more cans might be produced if there is enough demand. So if you happen to see it out on the market, I would grab one. It might be a collector's item years from now. Omaha Steaks Meaty Spritz Spray. Meat company Omaha Steaks April Fool's product Meaty Spritz promises to infuse bland fast foods with the show-stopping flavors of world-famous steaks, chicken and pork. The flavor-enhancing sprays, which again are not real, are in 3 varieties: Omaha Fog, Hog Haze, and Cock-a-doodle-doo. IKEA's Invisball collection. IKEA Singapore introduced a line of hoax products that aren't really products at all. The Invisball collection of invisible items, including shoe racks and laundry baskets. The company posted photos to social media showing household clutter supposedly contained by a piece from the Invisball collection, which each bear a price tag of $1.04 a play on the April 1st date. And you can see those on Instagram under the IKEA brand. Fruity Pebbles mac and cheese. In another case of corporate synergy that no one asked for, Cereal company, Post and macaroni manufacturer Kraft announced the release of multicolored mac and cheese with the fruity flavor of Fruity Pebbles. The companies said, "It's fruity, it's cheesy. It's your two favorite comfort foods together at last." Scotch brand Scotch whiskey. Now I'm surprised this isn't something real. Scotch brand, the company most famous for its eponymous tape, shared a photo on Instagram of Scotch brand Scotch whiskey bearing the company's iconic red plaid logo. The new limited edition spirit features a nose of cherry wood and a delightfully smooth finish that hits like a well-wrapped gift. It's a product worthy of our heritage and your taste buds, Scotch said in a news release. And sorry, cats are cracking me up too. Rosetta Stone translation app. A supposedly team-up between language learning software company Rosetta Stone and medical marijuana company Fluent aims to help cannabis newbies learn the lingo with an app called Rosetta Stone. The alleged app, which features red-eyed rock mascot Stoney, aims to bridge the conversational gap between novice users and seasoned stoners in any social setting. Garfield's cheesy lasagna cat food. Burns Pet Family Food announced it was teaming up with the makers of the upcoming animated film, The Garfield Movie, with a wet food featuring the cartoon cat's favorite treat, lasagna. Cheesy lasagna wet food, which is not real, despite the food company's actual branding partnership with the film, was said to be jam-packed with dog and cat-friendly ingredients like peppery basil, sweet carrots, rich tomato, and nutty Gran Padano for that extra cheesy taste. Not extra flamin' hot milk. PepsiCo said its line of extra flaming hot chips, available in the Walkers, Doritos, and What's Its Crunchy lines of products, will be accompanied in Britain by the sale of not extra flamin' hot milk to make the spicy snacks more bearable to the supposedly heat-adverse British palate. The prank product, merely a shot-sized bottle of milk, will be sold for as long as it takes for the British taste buds to mature to the spice. The company said in a press release for the milk, which again, UPI cannot stress enough, is not a real thing. And there you have it for the pranks. Police confuse security camera cat photo for a mountain lion. Police in California shared a resident security camera photo of what was initially said to be a mountain lion, but later clarified the animal was merely a big cat. South San Francisco Police Department said in a Facebook post that the photo captured by a resident's Ring camera depicted a mountain lion walking along a fence. Officers conducted an area search but were unable to locate this furry guy, and there were no additional sightings, the post said. We'd like to remind our residents to avoid mountain lions. Even at a distance, a brief glimpse should be cause for an alarm. Police later edited the post, revealing the animal in the picture was actually just a very particularly large domesticated cat. We were able to confirm the big cat was not a mountain lion, the police wrote. Out of an abundance of caution, we wanted to share some tips on what to do if you do encounter one of these guys or any wildlife in your neighborhood. We are happy to report there is no potential threat for the neighborhood. That's a great news. 9 raccoons on the loose from the Netherlands Zoo. A Netherlands zoo is on the hunt for trash pandas after 11 raccoons escaped from their new enclosure at the facility. Officials at the Aqua Zoo in Leeuwarden I think that's how you pronounce it, said 12 raccoons arrived on Monday and a caretaker showed up on Tuesday to find only one raccoon was present. 2 more raccoons were recovered later on in the day, but 9 of the animals are still on the loose. The zoo director said. Zoo officials determined 2 pieces of mesh surrounding the enclosure did not fit together properly, allowing the animals to dig their way out. He said one raccoon was spotted nearby the zoo Tuesday night, but was not captured. Traps have been set in nearby nature preserve in case the nocturnal animals manage to climb over the fence. The zoo director, Lou Meyer, said the raccoons have all been spayed or neutered, so they will not be breed in the wild. He said the raccoons are timid and are not believed to be in danger to humans. Now, let me get a drink because I have another little story to tell you. This Sunday was Easter Sunday. So we were invited to some friends' home. Jerry and I, my friend, my partner in crime. And in this family, they like to play games. So their teenager, 16-year-old, developed a game, Jeopardy. She used the television to do it. It was Jeopardy, McKenna edition. However, the interesting thing about it was the final Jeopardy question. And the final Jeopardy question was, where was the Emu War? Who was it between and who won? Basically. None of us got it right because none of us had heard of the Emu War. Those of you in Australia have probably heard of this because it is an Australian incident. So let's go to Wikipedia and find out what the Emu War was all about. The Emu War, or the Great Emu War, was a nuisance wildlife management military operation undertaken in Australia over the latter part of 1932 to address public concern over the large number of emus, which are a large flightless bird indigenous to Australia, said to be destroying crops in the Campion district within the wheat belt of Western Australia. The unsuccessful attempts to curb the population of emus employed Royal Australian Artillery soldiers armed with Lewis guns, leading to the media to adopt the name Emu War, which, when referring to the incident. Although many birds were killed, the emu population persisted and continued to cause crop destruction. Following World War I, large numbers of discharged veterans who served in the war were given land by the Australian government to take up farming within Western Australia, which is often in agriculturally marginal regions. With the onset of the Great Depression of 1929, these farmers were encouraged to increase their wheat crops, with government promising and failing to deliver assistance in the form of subsidies. Because of the recommendations and the promised subsidies, wheat prices continued to fall, and by October 1932, the situation intensified, with the farmers preparing to harvest the season's crop while simultaneously threatening to refuse to deliver the wheat. The farmers' difficulties were worsened by the arrival of approximately 20,000 emus. Emus regularly migrate after their breeding season, heading to the coast from the inland regions. With the cleared land and additional water supplies being made available for livestock, by the Western Australian farmers, the emus found the cultivated lands were good inhabitant, and they began to foray into farm territory, in particular the marginal farming land around Chandler and Walgoolan. The emus consumed and spoiled the crops and left large gaps in fences where rabbits could enter and cause further problems. Farmers relayed their concerns about the birds ravaging their crops, and a deputation of ex-soldiers were sent to meet with the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pierce. Having served in World War I, the soldier settlers were well aware of the effectiveness of machine guns, and they requested their deployment. The minister readily agreed, although with conditions attached. The guns were to be used by military personnel. Troop transport was to be financed by the Western Australian government, and the farmers would provide food, accommodation, and payment for the ammunition. Pierce also supported the deployment on the grounds that the birds would make good target practice. Well, while it has been argued that some in the government may have viewed the operation as a way of being seen to be helping the Western Australian farmers as well as to stave off the brewing succession movement. Towards that end, a cinematographer from Fox Movie Tone was enlisted. The war. Military involvement was due to begin October 1932. The war was conducted under the command of Major Gwynedd Purves Wynn Aubrey Meredith at the Royal Australian Artillery's 7th Heavy Artillery, with Meredith commanding soldiers Sergeant S. McMurray and Gunner J. O'Halloran, armed with 2 Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The operation was delayed, however, by a period of rainfall that caused the emus to scatter over a wider area. The rain ceased by November 2, 1932, whereupon the troops were deployed with orders to assist the farmers and, according to a newspaper account, to collect 100 emu skins so that their feathers could be used to make hats for light horsemen. First attempt, November 2nd. The men traveled to Campion, where some 50 emus were sighted. As the birds were out of range of the guns, the local settlers attempted to herd the emus into an ambush, but the birds split into small groups and ran so that they were difficult to target. Nevertheless, while the first fusillade from the machine guns was ineffective due to the range, a second round of gunfire was able to kill a number of birds. Later the same day, a small flock was encountered, and perhaps a dozen birds were killed. The next most significant event was on the 4th of November. Meredith had established an ambush near a local dam, and more than 1,000 emus were spotted heading towards their position. This time, the gunners waited until the birds were in close proximity before opening fire. The gun jammed after only 12 birds were killed, and the remainder scattered before any more could be shot. No more birds were sighted that day. In the days that followed, Meredith chose to move further south, where the birds were reportedly to be fairly tame, but there was only limited success in spite of his efforts. By the 4th day of the campaign, Army observers noted that each pack seems to have its own leader now, a big black plumed bird which stands fully 6 feet high and keeps watch while his mates carry out their work of destruction and warns them of our approach. At one stage, Meredith even went as far to mount one of the guns on a truck, a move that proved to be ineffective, as the truck was unable to gain on the birds, and the ride was so rough that the gunner was unable to fire any shots. By the 8th of November, 6 days after the first engagement, 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been fired. The number of birds killed is uncertain. One account estimates that it was 50 birds, but other accounts range from 200 to 500, the latter figures being provided by the settlers. Meredith's official report noted that his men had suffered no casualties. Summarizing the Coles, ornithologist Dominic Cervanti commented, "The machine gunner's dreams of point-blank fire into serried masses of emus were soon dissipated. The emu command had evidently ordered guerrilla tactics, and its unwieldy army soon split up into innumerable small units that made use of the military equipment uneconomic. A crestfallen field force therefore withdrew from the combat area after about a month. November the 8th, members of the Australian House of Representatives discussed the operation. Following the negative coverage of the events in the local media that included claims that only a few emus had died, Pierce withdrew the military personnel and the guns on November the 8th. After the withdrawal, Major Meredith compared the emus to Zulus and commented on the striking maneuverability of the emus, even while badly wounded. If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face one army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. They are like Zulus, whom even dum-dum bullets could not stop. Second attempt. After the withdrawal of the military, the emu attacks on crops continued. Farmers again asked for support, citing the hot weather and drought that brought emus evading farmers in the thousands. James Mitchell, the Premier of Western Australia, lent his strong support to the renewal of military assistance. At the same time, a report from the base commander was issued that indicated 300 emus had been killed in the initial operation. Acting on the request and the base commander's report by 12 of November, the Minister of Defense approved a resumption of military efforts. He defended the decision in the Senate, explaining why the soldiers were necessary to combat the serious agricultural threat of the large emu population. Although the military had agreed to lend the guns to the Western Australian government on the expectation that they would provide the necessary people, Meredith was once again placed in the field due to an apparent lack of experienced machine gunners in the state. Taking to the field on November the 13th, the military found a degree of success over the first 2 days, with approximately 40 emus killed. The third day, November the 15th, proved to be far less successful, but by December the 2nd, the soldiers were killing approximately 100 emus per week. Meredith was recalled on December the 10th, and in his report he claimed 9,986 confirmed kills with 9,860 rounds at a rate of exactly 10 rounds per confirmed kill. In addition, Meredith claimed exactly 2,500 wounded birds had also died from their injuries. In assessing the success of the cull, an article in the Coolgardie Miner on August 23, 1935, reported that although the use of machine guns had been criticized in many quarters, the method proved effective and saved what remained of the wheat. The aftermath. Despite the problems encountered with the cull, the farmers of the region once again requested military assistance in 1934, 1943, 1948, only to be turned down by the government. Instead, the bounty system that had been instigated in 1923 was continued, and this proved to be effective. 57,034 bounties were claimed over a 6-month period in 1934. By December 1932, word of the Emu War had spread, reaching the United Kingdom. Some conservationists there protested the cull as extermination of the rare emu. Dominic 70 and Hubert Whittle, the eminent Australian ornithologists, described the war as an attempt at the mass destruction of the birds. Throughout 1930 and onward, barrier fencing became a popular means of keeping emus out of agricultural areas, including other vermin such as dingoes and rabbits. In November 1950, Hugh Leslie raised the issues of emus in federal parliament and urged Army Minister Josiah Francis to release a quantity of .303 ammunition from the Army for the use of farmers. The minister approved the release of 500,000 rounds of ammunition. Legacy. In 2019, a musical adaptation of the story was workshopped in Melbourne by playwright Simeon Yalogu and composer James Court. An action comedy film titled The Emu War premiered at Monsterfest October the 22nd, 2023. Another action comedy movie retelling of the events written by John Cleese, Monty Franklin, Rob Snyder, Camilla Cleese, and Jim Jeffries was aiming to begin production in 2023 or 2024. So, who won the war? The emus won the war. And there you have it. One strange story from history. All right, guys, are you ready for the devotional? It is from the Promises from God's Heart. This book that I got at, I'm sure, Ollie's. Promises from God's heart when you give. Give, and it will be given to you a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap, for with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Luke 6:38. So whenever you give to the poor, don't sound a trumpet before you give, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be applauded by people. I assure you, they've got their reward. But when you give to the poor, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Matthew 6:2-4. And anyone who gives one of my most humble followers a cup of cool water, just because that person is my follower, will surely be rewarded. Matthew 10:42. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And when he called his disciples to him and said to them, Truly I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had and all she had to live on. Mark 12:42-44. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that it may be food in my house. Trust me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. Malachi 3:9-10. But remember this, if you give little, you will get little. A farmer who plants just a few seeds will only get a small crop, but if he plants much, he will reap much. Everyone must make up his own mind as how much he should give. Don't force anyone to give more than he really wants to, for cheerful givers are the ones God prizes. 2 Corinthians 9:6-7. And that is it for today's video. As always, remember to be kind to one another, love one another, and I'll see you again next week. Everybody have a great week. Bye.